Welcome everyone in this new video tutorial about the multiplayer combat editor. In this video we're going to learn how to use the built-in floating combat text feature. What are these? These are the little floating text you can see when dealing damage to enemies in different type of games. And we're going to learn how you can quickly implement and customize them on your own characters. So if you have, I'm just going to get rid of this real quick. I want this character and I don't want that one. I want to save everything and I want to delete that one, I said. Save all, delete this, up. I don't want that anymore. We want to open up our character, and in there we want to go where we implement our combat manager. And we want to say that if we are locally controlled, we want to display combat text like this. And if we just do this and go into our game, switch team and try to hit the other character, we're going to have little text pop in when we deal damage. Like this. So this is the quickest way to say that when someone deals damage, it displays them. It basically enables all the floating combat text system. And since we added it after the is locally controlled branch, it's only displaying combat text on the screen of the character responsible for dealing damage. But if you add it before the branch, it's going to show the floating text on all machines. So for instance, everyone is going to see the floating text in that case. As you could see, it was on both screens. But I want them to be local for my examples. And this is just making so they appear, but how do we customize them? Well, first we need to understand how it works. Combat text are managed by three things: layered on top of each other. So first we have a widget component, which is something you add to an actor, which is displaying a HUD in the space. So we add, when you ask for an actor to display a damage text, a combat text, the system basically adds a widget component to that actor. That widget component is asked to display a certain widget, which is called the text generator, which is a widget. And the widget component is also called text generator, actually. And then the text generator is actually, so the widget component is created by the combat manager, and the text generator is, and the combat manager tells the text generator when it needs to spawn combat texts related to combat, heal, to damage, heal, and statuses. And the text generator spawns another widget, which is a floating text. So these are all of the things that are added at runtime when someone takes damage. This is only spawned once per actor, and this is spawned each time you spawn a new floating text. But it is not performance expensive, at least not if you don't have 100 texts spawning in the same time. And even in that case, I think it shouldn't be too expensive anyway. So this is how it behaves. So we need to create these. We need to create, whoops, sorry. We need to create these two things if we want to customize our floating text. The text generator to control how floating text, how floating text looks, depending on the conditions of the floating text of the combat text. For instance, if it's damaged, it's red, but if you get healed, the text will be green, for instance. And the floating text is responsible, and this is the widget where we build the animation, all the juicy stuff we want for our combat text to look sexy. So we're going to add to our widget folder. We're going to right click, create a new folder named combat text. We're going to go there and create a new blueprint class. And we're going to look for floating. And we want to create a new floating text. We're going to call that my floating text. And we want to repeat the same operation. Type in floating and text, whatnot, why not? And we want to create a new floating text generator and call it the same way we did, my floating text generator. So we want to open that up, both of them actually. We want to go to our third person character, click on our combat manager, and in there we have a metrics folder on the right, which is asking for what is the class of the floating text generator. And in our case, we want to specify that we want the generator we just created, which is my floating text generator. Like that. If we hit compile, hit save, hit play, and deal damage to the other guy, it's still working. But if we go to because it's still working because it's still spawning the default floating combat text. And we want to specify that we want to spawn our own combat text, my floating text. So we want to go to my floating text generator, head to the graph folder, click on the class settings, and in there, class default, my bad. And in there, all the way to the top, we have a metrics folder with a base floating text class, and it's basically asking what floating text should it use. So it's straightforward. We want it to use my floating text, which is the widget we just created. We want to hit compile, hit save, hit play, deal damage to the other guy, and now no text is spawning. And why? Because we decided to generate the floating text we just created, and it's basically empty because we did not build any hierarchy in there. We did not add any visuals. So we need to create the visuals we want for our floating text there if we want our system to work. So what do we want in a combat text? I think we want a text mainly, and we want to customize that however we want. Maybe I'm going to suppose that I dealt I don't know I dealt that amount of damage, and I can specify how I want the design to be. I can do whatever I want. I can even create an animation and call that, I don't know, pop-up. I can call that pop-up because pop-up is used in the system. So I can call that spawn animation. And I can say that in that animation, I want, I don't know, the text to scale up a little bit. Transform. For instance, I can set scale is going to be changed It's going to grow when it spawns, like that, and I want that to be a little bit longer. Whoop, is going to do the trick for what I want. So I have built my text. It's looking quite well, fine and stuff, fine and nice. I can go back to my event graph, and now I need to tell the system that this is the text it is supposed to change the number of when displaying the text, and this is the animation it is supposed to play when spawning. So I can go on the function override, drag and drop the bar, and type in get. And I have two functions to override. I need to click on both of them. So once and another time. And this is asking for what spawn animation to play. We want the animation we just created. Then in the text widget, what is the text widget? It is the text we just created, but we forgot to specify that our text is actually a variable, which is called text combat value. Like this, go back to our graph, drag and drop our text to the widget, to the return value, compile, hit save, hit play. And now, if you deal damage, you're going to have the text you just created appearing when you deal damage. And you can actually make it so it disappears if you want by adding a new track, which is, if I'm not mistaken, color and opacity. You want to add that track like this, and you want to only have the opacity. Maybe it stays like this for that amount of time, then it gets transparent, like that. And we want the shadow color to also get transparent, like that. If we hit play and deal damage, it's going to fade. Great. So this is how you can set up your own floating text. But you can see that when I deal damage, the text is orange, and that's because in the floating text generator, in the parent class, this is because the rules of what colors and what to display is specified in the text generator, and you can customize this as well by going into your text generator, right-clicking, type in feature, override, and you have three functions to override there to modify the behavior: event spawn, damage text, heal text, and status text. We're going to bring them all, and we're going to make sure it still work. All the systems, we're going to make sure not to break the system. If we just do this, no text are going to spawn. So right click each of these functions and add call to parent function. Then plug them in. And this is basically the, oh, my bad. The orange node are basically when spawn damage text is called, it is calling the system, the built-in MCE system, to show damage text based on the type of damage dealt. When it's magical damage, it's spawning purple text, and when it's physical damage, it's spawning orange text. And that is the logic I built by default on MCE. And I think you don't want the default logic of MCE in your game. So just plugging these make it so everything works. But if you don't want to use MCE logic, you can unplug these and build your own logic by just double clicking the parent. It's going to bring you in the built-in logic of MCE. You can copy everything, go back to your text generator, paste what you copied, like this. You don't want the parent logic, but you can leave it there if you want to check once again what was the logic. But if you just copy that, it will not work. You need to feed the damage result to the structure. The damage result is basically all the information of the damage, and these are all the information. You want to hit compile, hit save, and in there you have a bunch of functions which are modifying how the text looks and how does it move, how does it fade, and stuff like that. So for instance, if you copy the logic and you remove, for instance, at the last node, we're just going to review the nodes real quick, actually, I'm sorry. So the first node, the first node is spawn floating text, and it's using the base variable we feed into our class defaults when we specified what type of floating text should it spawn. And it's asking what text should it display. And right now it's just truncating the amount of damage and it's returning it as an integer. And then it's getting the return value, so the floating text we just spawned, and it's telling the floating text to start moving, fading, and having a velocity. And it's not working in our floating text right now because I forgot to do one thing. So if we go to if we open up my floating text, go back to our graph, event graph. If you drag a wire out of our event tick, type in print, remove the print, hit compile, hit save. And then if we deal damage to the other guy, the text is going to move, whereas previously it wasn't moving, despite the built-in logic that was supposed to make it move. And that was because I forgot to activate the event tick of our floating text. So back to our floating text generator. This node is actually a function in our floating text widget. And this triggers the moving logic, so you can customize that if you want. And in the end, we also have a set text color, which is another function used. I'm just going to do that real quick, just so we can properly understand what's going on there. Like that. So this is another function of the floating combat text, which is asking for what color should the text be. And to determine the MCE based logic, to determine the basic color MCE shows, I'm using the gameplay tags of the damage being dealt. So for instance, if I dealt physical damage, this is going to tell it I can read that information from there by dragging a wire out of the tags pin and type in as flag, like that. Then I can make a literal eGameplay tag enum, plug that here, and ask for what type of damage am I looking for. for instance, fire. And I can also delete that and specify what color I want at all. So for instance, if I want my combat damage to be blue, I can, but I can also do something like this: select, uh, make literal enum, make enum. Oh, how can I do this? Byte. I want gameplay tag like that. Quite strange. Literal enum gameplay tag. That what I was looking for, like this. I can do something like that as well. But how do I retrieve? I cannot do this. I will need another way to do that. Maybe loop for each gameplay tag. I want to ask, do this damage results as this gameplay tag? If this is true, I'm going to... So this is a bit weird actually. So maybe you just want to loop through. Maybe you just want to loop through, for instance, fire, frost, or anything you know is not going to be twice applied field. You know it's not going to be, damage is not going to be and fire and frost at the same time, or you will need to specify how the color is behaving if it's filled by two of these gameplay tags that you wanted to color the text with. For now, I'm just going to specify that it's white, but you saw how you could be specifying the color you wanted. So this is how you can modify the logic for the floating text, and you can do the same thing for healing and the status feedbacks. And you can also just unplug them if you don't want anything to happen, and do not call any code there if you don't want anything to happen when you get healed or receive a status. So that's it for the floating text video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it and hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.